Hi, my name's Carla. I write for horsenation.com, and so I'm doing the SmartPak Horse Names Challenge. Um, First up is the name of the first horse that I ever rode, which I don't remember. I started riding when I was 11 after begging my parents for probably my entire life up until that point for lessons, and so they finally gave in, and I was just so terrified. It was so much harder than I thought it was going to be, and yet I couldn't back out at that point because I'd been begging for so long, and somehow it stuck. But the name of the horse that I rode has not. Um, but the name of the first horse that I ever leased or owned. So my parents, once they realized I was not going to stop about this horse thing, they gave me the option when I was in middle school to either go to a horseback riding sleepaway camp for 1 week or to lease a horse for a month at the barn where I was taking lessons. So obviously I chose that option because you get a lot more riding time. And so his name was Soko. He was a really old chestnut thoroughbred. I have some nice pictures at my parents' house of, black and white. We're just in the arena and it's really pretty. I don't think we ever actually ventured outside of the arena during that lease period, but I just remember it was so fun. Later on, I did my first show on him, little schooling show. I took it very seriously. I remember, braiding my hair and like figuring out exactly how I should do it and whatever. It's a fun thing to look back on. He was just a really good guy and a really good babysitter. Um, and the more sort of long-term lease situation that I did after that, I lucked into it in high school. I asked my instructor kind of jokingly, I was like, when are you going to find me a horse that I can ride for free? And he did. Like 6 weeks later, after I had sort of forgotten about it, I showed up for my weekly lesson and then he was like, okay, your horse is out in the pasture there. He's the gray. And, this blindingly white horse in the field, it was amazing. It was magical and I will never forget it. His name was Spur and he was a former steeplechase horse who, was perfectly content to just kind of putter along and, do my little hunter jumper lessons. And, once he got to the point when, he really shouldn't be jumped anymore, we just had fun trail riding and galloping around and not really galloping. He was really slow, but I thought it was galloping at the time. And I just had a lot of fun adventures with him when I was in high school. Um, the naughtiest horse I've ever known was Rain. She was a paint draft cross that they had briefly in the lesson program. And she had this habit of, it felt like she took off like 12 feet in front of the jump. There was some hang time while you're waiting to crash back to earth. And then she would like just plummet to the ground, take off bolting. And that's why she didn't really last in the lesson program very long. Anyway, so the name of my current horse, I don't have a horse right now. I am relying on the kindness of friends who have allowed me to ride their horses and hunt their horses. So a couple of their names are Blue, who is actually red, and Windsor Castle, who is a gray draft cross of some kind. He's, pretty steady Eddie also. He's a great trail horse. He jumps anything, and he's just a lot of fun. Next is 7 Up. He has one of the best names that I've ever encountered, but most of the time we just call him 7. And lastly, the most recent horse I rode was Glory. He is adorable. He is a sales horse that we're bringing back into work, and I just love him. He has such a baby face and this amazingly powerful canter that I can barely sit, but it's been a good learning experience for me because a lot of the other horses I've been riding recently are like people's guest horses and, very safe and quiet and maybe not as athletic, but this one definitely has a lot to teach me, and I think he'll be snapped up quick. My most favorite name for a horse, I encountered that while I was taking lessons in college. Every Christmas I would just ask for a month of lessons as my Christmas gift. And so I didn't necessarily know a lot of the horses at the barn where I was riding because I was just there during the winter. But I remember one day I just went by one of the fields and a horse came up to me, just, coming up to say hi at the gate. And I looked at the plate on his halter and it said Old Friend. And I just thought that is the perfect name because it just gets better every single year. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked it and go riding.